Today I'm bringing you some cryptocurrency news. We're covering several topics today that I've really been wanting to commentate on. I want to talk about Elon Musk. I want to talk about, of course, Bitcoin broke $40,000. I want to talk about what's going on with El Salvador making Bitcoin official currency in the country. That's very interesting. Government regulations more, and China. What's going on with China and this ban? We've got some incredible news for you. You're not going to want to miss this. So first of all, this information is important when it comes to the future of this technology known as cryptocurrency. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that cryptocurrency is the future. I believe that cryptocurrency is modern technology, and most of us that are here first. We're here before the big central banks. We're here before most of the population. We're here before most people understand what this technology is, how powerful it is, and how important it is. Congratulations to you for being here early. Congratulations to you for being here first. Do me a favor, smash that like button. We want more people to be aware, more average, everyday viewers to be aware how incredible this technology is. Bitcoin, over $40,000. It's broke Fortnite, sitting right now at $40,511 at the time of this video. This is incredible, up over 12% over the past 7 days. What's going on here? Why is this happening? We're going to jump into that right now. I want you to know, first and foremost, I love earning passive income, and I especially love earning passive income in cryptocurrency. If you want to learn how to earn more passive income with cryptocurrency, go down in the description, click on the Linktree link, subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter. It's a free newsletter. You can learn several different ways to be able to earn passive income in cryptocurrency. Everything from trading to using web browsers to give you cryptocurrency, and on and on and on. All right, Bitcoin rises after Elon Musk says Tesla will accept Bitcoin again once miners use 50% clean energy. Now, I want to talk about this for a moment. I'm not going to read all these news stories. I've already read through them. I'm going to give you a synopsis of what they're all about. This one basically says it right here. Bitcoin went up when Elon Musk said, hey, Tesla will accept Bitcoin again once miners use 50% clean energy. Now, I got a lot of things I can say here. First of all, my first thought was, how would he even know that? And by the way, Decrypt actually has another article says that Elon Musk wants Bitcoin to use 50% clean energy, but how will he know? He won't. This is a weird propaganda piece. A few things about Elon, in my opinion. First of all, the guy is the CEO of one of the greatest technological companies of our time. He clearly either doesn't understand cryptocurrency, or this is propaganda. You'll hear me say that a lot because I read articles and I'm always like, that cannot be true. Either somebody's an idiot or this is propaganda. Now, either Elon Musk doesn't know squat about cryptocurrency, or he understood that it could require a lot of energy to mine Bitcoin. So I think all of this is kind of misleading to begin with. My bigger issue here is not Elon Musk. My bigger issue here is not the energy consumption of Bitcoin, because I think that's highly overrated. I mean, I could go on, I could create a whole video about that nonsense. But it's garbage, it's total misdirection, and it's probably the next thing they're going to use to try to attack cryptocurrency. But neither here nor there. My bigger issue with Elon's tweets is not Elon. It's just that it proves right now at this very moment, cryptocurrency is not ready for prime time, because the main reason people are buying it is just to speculate on the gains. And I think a lot of us know that. But it's really sad that one man can tweet something, and a lot of people, a lot of Bitcoin enthusiasts love when he says positive things. They get pissed off when he says negative things. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't really care what he says. It's irrelevant to my long-term goals in cryptocurrency. He moves the market with short-term, tweets and short-term price movements. Who cares? If anything else, I think as an investor, it's important to watch the gauge of the audience and to watch what happens to price when he tweets, and realize that people are getting wrecked by being on the wrong side of his tweets. But if you have a consistent, diligent plan to be able to accumulate cryptocurrency over time, whether it's through passive income streams, whether it's through passive trading, no matter how whether it's just accumulating and hodling over time, then you're going to be better off, and these short-term fluctuations don't matter. It should be good news that we're here early enough that people still don't truly understand the power of this technology, but you and I do. Congratulations. Moving right along here. This El Salvador thing, in fact, there's a couple news stories here I want to talk about. Actually, I want to start here. So can Bitcoin become a real currency? Here's what's wrong with El Salvador's crypto plan. There's a couple things wrong with it, but mostly this is very interesting. Well, the first thing, let me just say this. The article doesn't touch on this much, but I do think that this is really pro-Bitcoin propaganda from the president. I don't really buy into the fact that he's wanting to convert Bitcoin. necessarily. This guy is known as an authoritarian type president. A lot of people are concerned about how he's consolidating power. He's firing judges in the country, top judges. So there's a lot of people concerned about that. But then he talks about, Bitcoin is money for the people, essentially. And then, he talks about, we got to worry about the energy consumption of Bitcoin. Oh, wait, we're going to use volcanoes. And, oh, wait, we already started a well drilling for volcanoes, and he shows this well. And all this has supposedly happened through government decree, all within a matter of, a couple of days to even a couple of hours or a few hours. Government doesn't move that fast. I don't understand exactly what the El Salvador president is actually trying to do. Although I have an idea, I do have an idea what he may be doing, and I'll explain that to you here in a moment. But I do think there's a bit of a propaganda here that is, it's pro-Bitcoin propaganda, but he's using it for his own political purpose. So let's get into this. Can Bitcoin become a real currency? Here's what's wrong with the El Salvador's crypto plan. First of all, they go through here, and this article is junk. They go through here and they say things like this. Such fluctuations show Bitcoin's weakness as a viable alternative to central bank currencies. Good only for transactions you don't want traced as a speculative investment. Okay, first I'm going to say this here. This is a concern. Such fluctuations, the price fluctuation is what they're talking about, show Bitcoin's weakness as a viable alternative to central bank currencies. I'll say this, Bitcoin is only, or any crypto, or its weaknesses only matter. Things like scalability issues, there's a lot of weaknesses, right? Scalability issues, transaction times, transaction costs. So there's a lot of issues. However, those issues only matter as long as central bank currencies remain viable in the country. Just look at Venezuela. Someone said on one of my YouTube videos, they said, oh, Bitcoin's not going to be currency. It's only good as a store of value. And my response to that commenter was, at what point are you willing to use part of your store of value to buy groceries? Because you see, when that point occurs, it doesn't matter about the technological limitation. And I believe that point is coming for a lot of countries, and far more countries than most of us want to admit. The second part, good only for transactions you don't want traced as a speculative investment. Anyone who knows anything about cryptocurrency knows that this author is either naive or this is just propaganda. Bitcoin is the most traceable currency probably in the history of the world. Privacy advocates hate that Bitcoin is so traceable. So when you see things like it's only good for transactions you don't want traced, it's just simply not true. I mean, you have to be a bit of a blockchain tech expert to try to hold your transactions and make them secretive. Using fiat currencies is one of the most secretive, most private things you can do, transaction person to person with a physical currency. That doesn't make any sense, and that really, in my opinion, discredits a lot of this article, but some good points are made. What does legal tender mean? Most of you don't realize this, and I think this is awesome. Legal tender basically says that you have to be willing to accept Bitcoin as well as the local currency. And they were quick to come back and say, oh, no, we're not getting rid of the dollar. And there's probably a lot of political reasons why they said that. But what they are doing is they're essentially requiring businesses, if you have the infrastructure and the ability to accept Bitcoin, you have to accept Bitcoin. How will they enforce it? Who knows? But it still is a very interesting precedent, and it's really nice. They're also going to accept tax payments in Bitcoin. I think that's very interesting. I mean, I think this is pretty neat. Of course, Bitcoin's highly volatile, so they try to claim, oh, it's too volatile, it's not going to work. They're still taking the US dollar. You can still price it in the US dollar. What's really interesting, if you come down here, facilitating remittances. This is going to be huge for Bitcoin. This is where Bitcoin shines. The president acts like tons of money is going to come into the country because remittances is going to be easier and less fees are going to be paid to middleman. I don't know how true that is, but I do know that being able to send money is by far. Just this weekend, I was helping get a new client set up, one of my trading clients set up. He's funding a $25,000 trading account. He's in banking himself. And it was interesting, he was blown away, like he was trying to wire funds and do ACH and all this stuff. And when we sent a Bitcoin transactions, we basically sent $1,000 and then we sent the rest of it. So, because it was the first time ever doing a Bitcoin transaction. And of course it took some time, right? Several minutes for that transaction to go through. But when it went through, he goes, so was that it? And I said, what do you mean was that it? He goes, I just moved that whole $25,000 that quick. I was like, yeah. And he was just like, wow, that's crazy. This is someone who works in banking. So being able to move large amounts of money is incredibly useful using cryptocurrency. There are alternatives that might be better than Bitcoin today, but that's okay. Bitcoin is still cheap and fast when you talk about moving large amounts of money. And you have a lot less hurdles to jump through in order to be able to move that kind of money. You don't necessarily even need a bank account. Well, you don't need a bank account really to be able to move that kind of money. So I think remittance is one area that cryptocurrency in general, not just Bitcoin, could really, really shine. And at the end of the article, this is where we go. You just make you wonder, like, what was the purpose of this article? The benefits of making Bitcoin legal tender are far from clear. El Salvador is already facing higher interest rates as international investors are worried about the move. Yeah, international investors that aren't holding Bitcoin probably. There are concerns a wider use of Bitcoin will facilitate the black economy and make tax avoidance easier. See, this last article is absolutely false. They can trace transactions using something called chain analytics on cryptos, particularly Bitcoin. Those of you that have seen my video on how to do your cryptocurrency taxes, it's fast, it's easy because of the traceability of cryptocurrency. When they say, oh, there are concerns wider use of Bitcoin will facilitate the black economy and make tax avoidance easier. No. It's going to make tax avoidance harder. For the sake of El Salvador's people, let's hope it's successful, but the odds are on it being further evidence of cryptocurrency's unsuitability for a real currency. Confirmation that Bitcoin is nothing more than a speculative asset. Again, just trying to attack cryptocurrency's fundamental use case. First of all, call it a store of value. Just calling it simply a speculative gamble when no one holding Bitcoin has lost money who's held it for more than 4 years. Nobody in the history of technology has ever lost Bitcoin who has held it for more than 4 years. You cannot call that just a speculative asset. You cannot reduce it to just that. You can call it a high risk. You can call it a high risk technological store of value. You can call it early technology. You can call it a gamble and you can call it speculation, but you can't say that it's nothing more than a speculative gamble. I think that's absolute garbage. I think this is the article somewhere in here too. They were saying, well, why didn't he just create, it would have been, oh, here it is. Things would have been simpler if this is actually, I think, the whole crux of the article. Again, it's propaganda. Things would have been simpler if El Salvador had adopted a stablecoin whose price is fixed as US dollars, such as Tether. Again, Tether is a centralized cryptocurrency whose books have not been fully audited. So this article in 3 different places is disparaging Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But then says, oh, he should have used a centralized digital currency pegged to the dollar. Propaganda. What you need to know about El Salvador's plan to use volcanic power Bitcoin as legal tender, I think this is the part that I think is propaganda for crypto. I mean, this guy basically, in a matter of no time, had supposedly the first well for volcanic energy mining of Bitcoin ready to, started. And I just don't personally buy that. Now, this is where things get interesting, and I think this is the real reason El Salvador is actually doing this. El Salvador needs money. Their president is in a bit of a crutch. So I think that they are using this as leverage against the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund is now coming out saying, hey, we'll work with you, we'll extend credit to you. We'll help you get this credit line. And I've read a couple of articles. One, I understood it as they were asking for $1 billion from the IMF already. And one I saw where the IMF was trying to extend, this one in particular talks about the IMF was agreeing to extend credit. So I don't know which came first, the $1 billion request, or did the $1 billion request come after the IMF was offering to extend credit. But the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which it's crazy to me that countries subject themselves to this. I mean, you're a sovereign country, but the IMF is basically saying, hey, don't do this, and we'll give you a loan. So now they're going to be indebted to the IMF should they do this. And I think they're looking to do this. I think this is the president's goal. I think the president's goal is to be able to get funding, get a large $1 billion+ loan from the IMF. And I think this is ultimately what he's doing. I think this is a real play here. I think it's interesting. I don't think this guy's a sudden Bitcoin advocate at all in any way, shape, or form. I think this is high-level politics, and the Bitcoin community gets to watch it. But for those of us that are investors, I think it's important to watch how the world responds to this. Because what's ultimately at play here, China. See, China did use blockchain-based digital yuan salary payments on, however you say that, province. So I read one article that said, oh, China's already banned Bitcoin mining because of the environmental impact. Are you kidding me? Such garbage, and people regurgitate this. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I have to be smarter than this. I wonder, who are these people writing these articles? China is the worst environmental offender probably in the world. They don't give 2 craps about the environment. But yet, that's why they stopped mining Bitcoin? That's why they started putting bans in place? No, this is why. Because they're about to roll out their own blockchain-powered digital yuan. So they're rolling out tests now. They don't want competition. That's the real issue. And I think we're going to see, it's going to be interesting to see what other countries do with this, because I think there's two routes countries are going to take. The first route is some countries, including America, may try to compete directly with their own digital currency. America is going to try to probably keep a status quo. The dollar is a reserve currency, but now it's a digital dollar. That's what I think America is going to attempt to do. Now, the challenge is going to be, can America and other countries catch up with Chinese technology? And can the Chinese digital yuan gain the faith of world citizens? And by world citizens, I really mean world politicians, government leaders. China is a big lender to a lot of countries as well. People don't necessarily realize that here in the States. If China can start getting their digital currency out in the world, they're going to attack the dollar directly. So I think the U.S. government is going to try to compete with their own U.S. digital currency. I wish what the U.S. government would do is be the leaders and start buying cryptocurrency. Because I think what El Salvador is doing may not be legitimate. I've already said that. But I think there are countries that are legitimately looking at putting some of their funds in cryptocurrency, some of their country's reserves. Paul Tudor Jones, the hedge fund manager, just came out and said he wants 5% of his portfolio in Bitcoin. By the way, that's probably as much a reason as why Bitcoin is above 40,000 right now as well. But he wants 5% of his portfolio in Bitcoin. So I think that's incredible. And I believe that we are any day now, maybe any month, sometime this year or next year, the latest, we're going to hear countries talking about holding reserves in cryptocurrency. And they may not talk about it right away. And the reason they're not going to talk about it right away is because it gives them a competitive advantage to hold more cryptocurrency over other countries. And I secretly hope that America starts buying up cryptocurrency. But when that starts to happen, I think you're going to see prices go through the roof. Eventually, I believe it will happen. They may not allow citizens to transact in it. They may put some strong regulations in place. But I think we're going to see countries, if for no other reason, as some sort of a hedge against other world currencies, particularly in a transition that could be very volatile. This transition over to digital currencies could be a game changer for a lot of reasons, for a lot of different countries, a lot of different places. And I quite honestly, although I'm not a fan of countries having their own digital currencies, I think it undermines cryptocurrency in general. I think that's just part of a stepping stone along the way, because I think ultimately, I have a whole theory on 3 different ways to mass adoption for cryptocurrency. And I need to put that video out. I've talked about it for over a year. I mean, I've talked about components of it, but I need to actually put that whole video out. But there's one of the paths to cryptocurrency is exactly the path we're on right now. And everybody create their own digital currency. But I don't think it stays that way. And there's a lot of mechanisms that can force people to get away from using their own country's cryptocurrency. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I do think it's sad that China is the first one. I mean, being an American, I would like to see our country lead the forefront, but they are so far behind on this technology. It's actually kind of ridiculous. And just to continue to build the case about what's going on with countries, more and more countries are creating awareness. South Africa basically is all of a sudden they've reversed their policy on cryptocurrency. Now it's like, oh no, we need to regulate this. Let me say something about regulations. Regulations are not intended for the sole purpose of protecting you as an investor. Robert Kiyosaki says something really good about when he talks about the importance of starting business. He talks about how the tax laws favor business owners. And he says you have to ask yourself, who are the legislators? Many of them are business owners or high income net worth individuals. Many of them get into office from donations from business owners, high income and high net worth individuals. So obviously, they're going to write laws that favor that segment of the population. And you're never going to change that. Same thing is true with cryptocurrency. When these legislation is coming out, who's benefiting from this legislation? And of course, that depends on what the legislation and regulations are. But who's benefiting from it? Listen, you and I are not solely responsible for putting any of these politicians in office. They're not looking out for just our well-being. Maybe they're like, okay, if I can serve this political interest and make a decent law, then I'm okay with that. And that's fine, but you and I have to understand, there are no Mother Teresas in politics. They don't exist. They're self-interested. They want to keep their job. They want to keep donors donating. And they don't care about our $60 donation to a political party. So that's important for people to understand when they start asking for regulations. You should be concerned about regulations. You should be mindful of what's coming. And you should be skeptical of regulations when they're coming. But that's just my personal opinion. Let me know if you agree down in the comments. And also, point out Tanzanian president urges central banks to prepare for crypto. See, again, another country talking about crypto. I like this. I actually think what we may see the move to decentralize, the countries that can't create their own digital currency, seeing them talk about crypto is very interesting, because I think some of them may, one of them or some of them may be the first ones to actually adopt cryptocurrency, do what El Salvador is talking about doing, but actually do it for real, and be able to get their citizens, a large amount of their citizens actually using and transacting in cryptocurrency in general. I think that a decentralized cryptocurrency, and I think that's very, very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your crypto news today. Do me a favor, if you like this kind of content, smash that like button. I've got some more content coming up soon. I'm going to be talking about earning income with cryptocurrency. You're not going to want to miss it. So hit that subscribe button, click that bell notification icon, and stay tuned in. If you want to hear more news related to cryptocurrency and what my thoughts are regarding the news, let me know down in the comments if you like this kind of video, and maybe I'll do some more of them. Don't ever forget, decentralized. That's the word, decentralized. Cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.